Good morning, welcome back. Okay, Project FoXDaWG 21 on the project series to make this old Harley Davidson dyno white glide into something a bit more modern and interesting to ride. And it's going quite well. We're about 3/4 of the way through, should be ready by the end of March, hopefully. Got a few bits to do, but it's all on schedule. Today, brakes. Now, you know I've done all the paintwork, that's already over there curing. I've got the wheels balanced, they're all in, everything's ready to go. I can start actually putting things back together, but before I start putting nice, fresh, clean paint on a bike and then go bleeding brakes and throwing brake fluid everywhere, I think I'll do that first. So today, I'm going to put some new brake pads in the calipers after cleaning them all up. They don't need ripping apart and servicing and new seals or anything because they're not leaking and they're not dilapidated or corroded, they're just a little dirty. And when that's the case, all you need to do, drop the pads out, clean the caliper all together, push the pistons back in with a nice clean piston rim. You got to get that gum line nice and clean. Once that's done, stick the new pads in and then bleed it through with fresh fluid. And you can use the fresh fluid to chase out the old fluid. You don't need to introduce air into the system. Once that's done, you get a nice solid bleed up, as I've currently got already, and the brakes I can sign off and call them done. I just want to show you this first of all though before I get stuck in, and that's these brake pads the guy gave me. When I bought the bike, I got carrier bags full of bits and pieces, indicator lenses, all sorts of spares. Guy owned this bike for nearly 20 years and you do tend to accumulate a lot of tat with it when you do that stuff. I'll keep that just in case. Well, these are something that he kept and he just had in a bag. 2 pairs of Brembo brake pads, genuine ones. And they really are genuine ones, as you can see on the packaging, it says Brembo. And I just broke that open to have a look at them. And they are a proper genuine Brembo sintered metal pad. And I really like that, but this is the part that I find the most insane, is the price of them. Oh my god, look at that. £44.95 each pair. There's the other pair in their separate bag. £90? £90 for 2 pairs of brake pads? Oh my goodness. I think genuine Harley Davidson ones would have been cheaper, but there we are. I've got Brembo discs, floating disc, a 330 on the front, 4 piston Brembo calipers, and why not put the right pads in, obviously. So I'm glad I got them. I probably wouldn't have laid out £90 for 2 pairs of brake pads. I've probably gone to EBC sintered or something, which are just as good, I imagine, certainly adequate for this job, but I think these are better, and I've got them, so I'm going to use them. So when you buy a bike and the previous owner says, do you want these with it? It's some spare brake pads. Yeah, thanks, yeah, definitely. The other thing finally, I've got, these are the 2 old reservoir caps. They're the original factory ones which are black. The guys put chrome ones on and the chrome is pitting and peeling off, so I'm going to change those at the same time. So that is it today. Clean the calipers, bleed the fluid through and put new pads in, and that then is the brakes signed off. So let's stop talking and get stuck in. Welcome back. I need to clear some tools up first, don't you? Right, as I said, it's just dirty. All I'm going to do is drop these pads out, clean all this up, clean around the gum line of those pistons to make sure they're all nice and clean, push them right back out of the way, and then bang those fantastically expensive new pads in. Cool, right, this has got a very interesting system, this Brembo caliper, of holding the pads in. It's got a little pin that goes through, but it's not secured in with a thread. You don't have to turn it out or anything, which, as we all know, ends up seized in place, and it ends up jamming in and then stripping the head out, so you have all sorts of nightmares to get out. It's just a little tap out pin. It should have a little R clip, like a little tiny spring clip in the end to hold it, but it is missing, so I'll put a piece of wire in there to stop that from coming out in the future. But it's got, inside the caliper, it's got a little spring washer in that compresses, or a little compression ring in there that holds it in place. You know, seriously common sense, and it's never going to jam in place, is it? Pay attention, Japanese caliper manufacturers. It's that easy. Here we go, that's what it is. I'm going to show you that. It's like a little compression ring on the end. Spin it round. You can see it's there. It's got like a little gap in it, and that compresses under load when it's tapped into position. This little piece on the end with a hole in emerges out the other side, just enough to put a little clip through, a little tiny R clip, and I'll order a couple for it because obviously I haven't got any, and the front one's got a bit of lock wire on it, so not clever, but that is a very clever little piece of engineering, very simple. There's no thread there, there's nothing holding that pin in other than a little metal clip and a spring washer at that end, that's all. It's never going to seize in place, is it? Ever so simple. Every time you put a thread involved and screwing it into place, it's a recipe for it seizing in there, isn't it? There's no thread involved in that. Italian design, easy peasy. I like that. Okay, I'm just doing a little test here. Just press them out. Pumping them out. Now they're lovely and clean. There's hardly any brake dust around them at all. But I'm going to give all that a little clean out in there nonetheless. Get all this cack off. But first of all, round the gum line of these, and then I can push them right back because there's a little crust of dirt there right on the outer edge, and that wouldn't do to push that into the dust seal. No need. Now we're ready to put brand new 45-pound brake pads in there. Right, there we go. Okay, I've put a little piece of lock wire in the end of that pin. You've got this push-through pin with its spring ring that holds it in place. That's what holds the pin in. But obviously they put a little hole the other end for a lock spring split pin, something like that. But what I want to put in there is the little R-shaped spring ring. Haven't got one small enough to use, and I haven't got a split pin either that's that small. So I'm just going to put a little piece of lock wire in there for now. Twisted that off, that won't go anywhere. Safety, just in case later on I forget to upgrade that to a proper little pin. But for now, that is it, ready to install. So let's pop it over the disc. Right, I'm going to do the same to the front now. Very simple and straightforward procedure. Pads out, clean what's already pretty clean, so it's spotless. New pads in, fit caliper, then we're ready to bleed them up. Right, Brembo Calipers. Now I know all you Ducati owning boys out there are probably going, yep, carry on, quite normal. Seriously, they are probably the best motorcycle calipers I've ever seen. They're beautiful, and not just because they're chrome plated. I'm not a great fan of chrome, but just the way they're put together, the simplicity of them, the nice easy fit of the castings, the easy fit of the pads, that simple little pin system, snap that in and it stays in place. I love it. I love everything about it. The fact that the bleed nipple is at the top is uppermost. Obviously, how many of you, hands up, have seen a brake caliper with the bleed nipple at the bottom? Well, there we go. So there we are. It's common sense, it's good engineering, and they're lovely. I'm trying my hardest here to find some flaw on them, some bit of corrosion somewhere, but there's just nothing. All they were was just dusty. I'm so chuffed with that, I really am. You know, so much of this bike was in a really bad way, but these are stunning. They really are, both of them. So now that's done, inside that is as clean as the outside. All I've got to do now, pop the pads in, sprinkle it, stick the pin through, or just clean it up first on the lathe, and then that's ready to install as well, and then they are both ready to bleed up. Right, pretty. Okay, let's juice them up. Right, let's do the front. Right, there we go, that is it, another one done, brakes, tick, another milestone passed, and I am so happy with how well that went. I can't believe it. They were cleaner than I thought they would be, and I just cleaned up straight away, immediately washed off, wiped over, brand spanking new. I don't know how old those calipers are. There's no date on the receipt. There is an address and everything else, but it's quite faded and I can't read the date on it, but they are not as old as the bike. They are absolutely superb. The discs as well, there's hardly any wear on them at all. With those brand new sintered pads in, once they've bedded in after 50 miles or so, these brakes are going to be insanely good. 2 fingers and all the rest of it. I'm going to bungee that in overnight like you do to give me a rock hard bleed on that the next day, but apart from that, that is the brakes signed off and done. So moving along, I just want to show you this. This is the little screwdriver torque wrench that I use today. It's called the Wiha iTorque. That's its name, and I'm going to put a link in the description underneath so you can see it for yourself. Yes, it's an expensive tool, but it means that sort of thing, you don't over tighten it. And that's only 0.7 to 0.9 Newton meters. That's the setting on those screws. I mean, that's nothing. That's 2 fingers on a dumpy screwdriver, and it's nice to get them absolutely right. If you want to do better work, if you want to improve yourself, then these sort of tools will help you to do that. So I'm not going to justify it. That's it. It is an expensive tool. I'll leave a link in the description if you want one. There it is. It's like this. Every time I use that little torque wrench, people ask, where is it? Can I get one? It does inspire people, and they are buying them. Buying good tools, buying proper machinery and equipment that you can use to make you a better mechanic, well, why wouldn't you? Simple. Right, I want to say quickly as well, the brake fluid. One word on this. This is the .5 stuff. This is a Harley Davidson. It recommends .5. It had .5 in it, and this is the .5 silicon based Harley Davidson fluid, and it doesn't mix with anything else. Got to say that. You know that. We know that. You do know. Yes, you do. Of course you do. Obviously, if you try, if you're not sure, if you're ever not sure of what's in your bike, then get your little syringe, take a little bit out, put it in a jar, tip a bit of your .5 in, and see if it mixes. If it blends together like one fluid, then it's correct and you can go ahead and use it. If it doesn't, if it sits like 2 little beads next to each other, then for goodness sake, don't use it in the bike, because it will stay that way inside the system. It will fragment into tiny little bubbles, and it will form like a snotty sludge inside the braking system. It will bung up the little ways that all the fluid goes through, and it will seize up your brakes, and you will have to replace it all. Simple as that. You can upgrade to that if you want to. It's a big old process. You have to rip all this apart, clean all the metal with probably something like propyl alcohol to get all of the old fluid off at a chemical level, replace all the rubber parts, and then put it all back together and start again. But it's a lot of money just to change your brake fluid to something else. There is a benefit. The benefit is it doesn't absorb water, so it doesn't need to be changed every 2 years, but it doesn't cost much, so whatever, you know, simple as that. Right, finally, the next video, I'm going to embark on a carburettor change. What I'm going to do with this is change the carb, because I want to upgrade it to something much better. Not because this carb has got a problem, there's nothing wrong with it, it's fine, it's just that I want to complete the stage 2 tune. This bike has already had the cams done. I haven't said this on video at this point. I've made lots of statements on comments where people have asked and said, be careful of the cam chain tensioners, Del. Yeah, I appreciate that. I just didn't mention it. It has had the cam chain tensioners done. It's had primary and secondary cam chain tensioners replaced, along with the chains, and I think roller tappets. It's all on a list. And it's also had Screaming Eagle 203 cams. Now, they're not hot cams, they're not like a high lift or anything, but they are a little bit fresher than the original. So with those cams and those fantastic brand new tensioners all changed, it's great to put a brand new carburetor on it, something completely different, something that's going to do a little bit more performance, pump a little bit more fuel down its neck, and extract just a little bit more performance to go with my high performance brakes. So that'll be the next video, carburetor change. Join me for that. Take it easy, ride safe. Thank you for all your amazing support. See you next time.